In the year of 1956, Benjamin S. Bloom published a book named Taxonomy of Educational Objectives. There he mentioned for first time the 6 levels of cognitive domains. They are knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. However, in the year of 2001, Lauren Anderson and David Crockwell wrote another book, The Taxonomy of Learning, Teaching and Accessing. There they revised Bloom taxonomy to make it more comprehensive and holistic. In this session, we will discuss both the theories side by side. The revised Bloom taxonomy. Dr. Anderson and Dr. Crockwell divided the learning broadly in 3 categories: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. The cognitive domain of learning. Cognition means mental process. The cognitive domain encompasses of 6 categories: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Here, synthesis changes into creating and goes at the top. Remembering. The first stage of revised Bloom taxonomy is remembering. It defines as to retrieve relevant knowledge from long-term memory. The 2 main categories of remembering are recognizing and recalling. Recognizing. The alternative name for recognizing is identifying. It means locating knowledge in the long-term memory. For example, recognizing the dates of important events in Indian history. Number 2, recalling. The alternative name for recalling, according to Dr. Anderson, is retrieving. It defines as retrieving relevant knowledge from long-term memory. Here are some examples of remembering with the action verbs. List down the softwares you are using. Recite the poem again and again. Outline the features of Vienna Treaty. Define photosynthesis. Match the following columns. Name any 3 domestic animals. Level the following diagram. Identify the wrong statement. Example of setting learning objective for remembering. By the end of the lesson, the student will able to recite the poem again and again. Understanding. It is the second stage of cognitive domain. It is to construct meaning from instructional messages, including oral, written, and graphic communication. Understanding is categorized in following types: interpreting, exemplifying, classifying, summarizing, inferring, comparing, and explaining. Interpreting. It means the explain of meaning of information or action, changing from one form of representation, for example numerical, to another, for example verbal. It has the following alternative names: clarifying, paraphrasing, representing, and translating. Here we are elaborating the term paraphrasing. Paraphrase is a statement that says something that another person said or written in a different way. This is just a paraphrase of what he said. Exemplifying. Finding a specific example or illustration of a concept or a principle. Alternative names for exemplifying are illustrating and instantiating. For example, give example of various artistic painting styles. Classifying. Determining that something belongs to a category. Alternative names: categorizing and subsuming. Example: classify the cases of mental disorders. Summarizing. It means giving a brief statement of the main points of something. or abstracting a general theme or main points. Alternative names: abstracting, generalizing. For example, write a short summary of event portrayed on a video. Inferring, drawing a logical conclusion from the presented information. For example, a teacher can figure out the result of the final assessment of a student from his past performances. So it is the process of figuring something out through reasoning. Alternative names: concluding, extrapolating, interpolating, and pretending. Comparing, detecting the correspondence between two ideas, objects, and likes. For example, compare historical events to the contemporary situations. Alternative names: contrasting, mapping, and matching. Explaining, constructing a cause and effect based model of a system. For example, explain the causes of important 18th century events in India. Framing sentences using action verbs for understanding. Convert the following temperature to the Kelvin scale. Predict the outcome on the basis of above situations. Express your thoughts on global warming. Elaborate the term extrapolate. Example of learning objective: articulate the key takeaways of World War I. Higher order thinking skills or HOTS. From this level forth, rest of the levels are considered to be higher order thinking levels or HOTS. Applying. Some educationists also call it transferring level. Carry out or use a procedure in a given situation or use information or skill in a new situation. It has two main categories: executing and implementing. Executing. Alternative name is carrying out. Applying a procedure to a familiar task. For example, divide one whole number by another number, both with multiple digits. Implementing. Alternative name is using. Applying a procedure to an unfamiliar task. Example, use Newton's second law in a situation in which it is appropriate.